Revolutionary greetings. Haki Kweli Shakur, coming back at you once again. I'm in another historic site. I'm on East Baker Street in Jackson Ward. In the historic Jackson Ward district. East Baker Street, what I'm gonna talk to you today about is the Richmond Black Panther Party, chapter of self-defense. This is the Richmond Black Panther Party for self-defense chapter. This chapter was started in like 1960, I would say 68, 69, and it dissolved by like 1970, 1971. And the reason I want to talk about this is because a lot of people in Richmond, Virginia don't know or never heard of the Richmond Black Panther Party chapter. They always knew about the Washington, D.C. chapter of the Black Panther Party. And so, if you take a look over there, East Baker Street used to run all the way through there. So 8th East Baker Street probably would have been somewhere in that area. This resolves around the Richmond 5 case. If you don't know what the Richmond 5 case is 5 Black Panther Party members. 2 of the Black Panther Party members were from Richmond, Virginia. They were the Moore brothers, Howard Moore and Albert Moore. They were in connection with the Washington, D.C. chapter of the Black Panther Party, which was a leader from their chapter was named Charles Brunson, and another comrade elder by the name of Mr. Bethea. So the Richmond 5 case is a historic case of the Black Panther Party for self-defense, period, on the East Coast. And so what had happened was they were infiltrated by a police officer by the name of Waverly Allen. He was a dope fiend, a heroin fiend. A lot of people said that he wasn't an informant. A lot of people said he was an informant. And so they're trying to say that he was the reason that the Richmond Black Panther Party chapter never really evolved. I mean, the headquarters was set up, but it never evolved into complete community work because it had subgroups who were a part of this chapter, who were a part of other organizations. Leading up until the Richmond 5 case, what had happened the Richmond chapter of the Black Panther Party were trying to get arms for self-defense, for the self-defense program. So Charles Brunson came down here to Richmond, Virginia to meet with the Moore brothers. This informant was responsible for obtaining those arms. And when he got the arms, the FBI and COINTELPRO infiltrated the Richmond Black Panther Party. And so when Charles Brunson and his comrade Bethea were leaving Richmond, they were pulled over on the interstate highway, Interstate 95. Pulled over, arrested, and locked up. And so they locked up the Moore brothers and all of them, and it became a historic Richmond 5 case. With that being said, do your research on COINTELPRO and the counterintelligence program. This area of Richmond, Virginia was highly affected by the counterintelligence program. So much so that Zayd Shakur of the Shakur family had to come down here and organize this chapter and try to keep this chapter afloat in D.C. and Richmond, Virginia. But he couldn't maintain it, he couldn't sustain it. So the chapter dissolved. So with that being said, I just want to say it has a deep history with the Shakur tribe. Also, Lumumba Shakur and Zayd Shakur used to come to Virginia when they were kids. So let me give out, a shout out to Albert Saladin Shakur, Zayd Shakur, Lumumba Shakur, and the Shakur tribe, who have heavy ties to the Virginia area. So shout out to the Shakur tribe. Also, shout out to Sophia Bukhari, Kwesi Balagoon, and all the East Coast Panthers, and Sekou Odinga, and who's a comrade of Dr. Matulu Shakur. So Virginia has highly ties to the Black Liberation Army and the Black Panther Party of this area, and Dr. Matulu Shakur and the Shakur tribe. On that note, as I close out, take a look at the highway in the background. As you can see, the Interstate 95 was built in the 1950s. This highway cut straight through Jackson Ward, Black Wall Street. And that gentrification, which we call domestic colonialism, destroyed Black Wall Street, destroyed Jackson Ward. So I just wanted to throw that in there before I hop off of this video. But do your research on gentrification, man, because Richmond is being gentrified at a high level right now. The whites are moving back in the city. They're taking over the city once again, and they're taking the property away from our people. Black people, you must organize and start to build economic infrastructures to liberate the black community of Richmond, man. This is some hard work that we must obtain. New African Ujamaa, which is collective economics, man. We must enforce this in our communities and to buy back these blocks. Gentrification is domestic colonialism. And shout out to the Richmond Black Panther Party. I'm gonna sign off on that note. Haki Kweli Shakur, free the land. By any means necessary. And on this shirt, before I close out, this is Lord Nelson, the historic Lord Nelson hanging, lynching that took place in Oklahoma. This ancestor was lynched beside her only child, her only son, who these white racist Europeans raped. Her son was raped by a bunch of white racist Europeans, and then they lynched both of them on the Oklahoma bridge. This is her on this shirt. So I want to send salutations out to that ancestor. May your spirit live forever. 400 years, man. 400 years. Free the land.